Hi, Wellness Babes. Thanks for tuning in to another video.
Welcome back.
So, today we're going to talk about habits that you should have before you start prep.
Yeah.
Okay? This is huge. So, my tip number one is to make sure that you're already tracking. Like, make sure that you're already dieting. If it fits your macros, tracking in MyFitnessPal. That way, you have a good knowledge about what food is.
And you also have a good knowledge of where your calories are at. Because I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people want to start preps without even knowing how many calories they're maintaining on or gaining whatever area they're in. And then they try to start a prep and they start tracking and then they realize they're only eating like 1,000 calories, which is not an ideal place to be starting a prep at.
No, like if you're starting at like 1,500 calories, that's low. It's like where do you go from there?
Tip number
Yeah.
two would be you have a good you prioritize your time well because when you're competing routine
Routines.
like you have a really good daily routine because when it comes to competing you're going to have to learn how to fit in posing, stretching, eating,
It's a
gym.
huge all it's like a balance act. It's so much, especially if you work full time and have other things on the go on top of that. If you don't want to give up your social life, like there's a lot of sacrifices that you need to make in prep because you're busy. Like going to the gym takes 2 hours a day. Posing, it's like 30 minutes. Mobility, 30 minutes. All this stuff really, really adds up, especially if you're the type of athlete that needs to do 2 hours of cardio. Like, that's a long time. So make sure you're structuring your day proper and you're used to being in a good routine. If you're sleeping in, being lazy, you're not going to be able to have enough time in the day to get these things done.
No, because I think prep attracts a lot of personality types that are very
Hmm.
like the go-getter personality type. So I don't think you would see someone who's in prep, yeah, like sleeping in till 11, not wanting to get out of bed. It's just like, when you have a goal, you have to be really driven to that goal and you will do whatever it takes. Shout out to Hope. She had posted a story last night about how she's a mom and she has kids and she was like, you have to put the kids first and make them dinner and still have time to go to the gym. And she still made it to the gym. So like, like
Yeah, shout out to all the moms
the
that
moms
prep.
out there that like can manage to put their kids and everything first and still make it to the gym, still get their posing and still get all that. Because it's hard work. Like we don't have kids, we don't have families. So, we're not putting anyone else before us. So we can
Exactly.
be selfish, but some people can't.
And that perfectionist kind of personality type, like it attracts a lot of people that had eating disorders. I'm just going to touch on this a little bit because people with eating disorders are going to be able to pick up prep because they're already used to kind of putting their body through those starvation phases, right? Like recovering from my eating disorder, like being hungry is something that I'm so used to, and I just understand that being hungry, it's going to bring me to my goal. I have a way different attitude towards food now. I feed myself, fuel myself, but I definitely think that my eating disorder has made prep easier for me.
Yeah, I think another tip would have to be like you have to be a person that like can get uncomfortable with things.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable throughout all of prep with your posing, going to the gym, dieting, doing your long cardio sessions. It just has to be something that you enjoy doing.
And if you're one of those people who like to throw in the towel early, this is not going to be for you because
Yeah.
if you all of a sudden like can't handle the stress of prep, you can't like if you're someone just gives up easily, throws in the towel because you can't handle like that uncomfortable feeling, prep is not going to be
And
for
that's
you.
why a lot of people start a prep and quit. Like you have to realize it's delayed gratification. You have to be able to put off the things that you want right now in order to get successfully through your prep. So,
Yeah. And I think another huge tip I'd say is have a really good support system. If you don't have a team behind you of
mhm.
supportive people, it's going to be really hard because say if your friends are like really into partying and you want to do a prep, it's going to be really hard when they're going out every weekend, drinking, going for food. They want you to come and they're forcing you to have a beer. Well, you're like, no, I can't. Like, have people who really support and back your goals.
Yeah, and just go to them and tell them and be just like, this is really important to me.
Yeah.
So you need to support me.
And especially with family, because
Yeah,
that's the
like
hardest.
they just love to see you eat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. They just
Especially if you go to
food
Baba.
is love though. Food is love. So
Yeah.
it's understanding of why they want to see you eat.
Yeah, so just make sure if you have like family who's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, eat this." If your grandma's trying to feed you the cake, just say like, "Grandma, I have this
I'm on a special
goal.
diet.
I'm on a diet." Like, I have a Ukrainian family and they love to force feed me food
Mhm.
sometimes. So like, just
Mhm.
setting it straight with them that like, these are my goals. Just let me have my goals.
And have a good coach that brings you through an off season before you even start prep. That's like, oh man, that's such a game changer. Like a coach that's actually going to feed you. It's so different when someone's actually telling you to eat that food. You just commit to eating it, right? That was my biggest thing is I would never ever allow myself to eat enough food, right? But I started my off season like, man, at the height of my off season, I was eating like almost
Oh
4,000
my god.
4,000 calories, which is a lot. That's like a full grown man's diet right there. And I was just up to food. But the minute that we cut my calories, like my body just responded so well. So that's one thing that I definitely recommend is be eating, especially a wellness athlete.
Yeah.
You need to have that size. You need to be able to train hard, fuel your body proper. So that's a huge tip right there.
And then on the regards of food, before competing, you should always, you should be have a had a healthy lifestyle for at least like, you know, more than a year, 2 years. Because if you still like to eat out McDonald's a couple times a week and go for dinner here and there and don't make healthy choices on a day to day, or have
Mm-hmm.
even dieted before, it's going to be really hard to jump into a prep because it is, like I said, it's a very strict regime. And if you're not used to being strict just on a day to
Yeah.
day, like how are you going to manage to get through 16 weeks of that?
Like, what's your body fat percentage at? Because someone who's starting at like 30% plus, they should probably do a cutting phase, then an off season, then another cutting phase, right? Because if you have that excess body fat, you got to bring it in tighter. And it's just those are the people that have to go into those really, really low calories because
Yeah.
generally they're yo yo dieting. They're not in it. They're not doing all these little things like going to the gym, eating right because their body fat is 30%, right? So I think people glorify being on stage and everything, but it takes a lot of work to get there,
Oh yeah.
so don't rush yourself if you need that time to like do a cutting phase, do an off season. Like these take years, especially with wellness. You need to be able to give yourself that time to grow. So
Yeah.
many people don't understand that. And they just like have that thickness, right? And they're just like, oh, well, like I have the size. And in all reality, they cut down and they don't have that size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also really make sure you're at a place where you love your body
Yeah.
through all stages. And this is so important because if you are starting prep from a place where you don't like your body and you want to be shredded so you like your body, going through all that isn't going to change your perception of how you
If
like
you
your
hate your
body.
body, right, already, you're going to hate it through prep.
Yeah.
That's just in all reality, that's what it is. And you're going to have an even harder time when you come off of prep and you put on that weight.
I
You
think
have to be mentally like in a good spot.
And I think that's what both of us had in common too, is we both really appreciate our body in and out of season of competing because
I love my body thick. I prefer my body thick. I will say that. I like to sit around 5 to 10 pounds over my stage weight, but like I feel more woman like when I'm thick. I
yeah.
know my strongest physique is going to be a little thicker. Coming from powerlifting, I'm so glad that I started powerlifting before I got into bodybuilding because it made me have such a different attitude towards training, food, all this stuff that's really important in prep. So yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you take these tips into consideration before starting a prep, and then yeah, this will hopefully help you better determine if you're in a good spot to start
And you can
prepping.
always take your time,
Yeah.
like there's no rush to get on stage. If you need to go see a psychologist cuz like that's what you need to do to get your mind right, go and do it. Like sports psychologists, it really really helped me through like all of my athletic endeavors in this life. So, I hope you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to see anything else, please comment below
Smash the
and
like.
we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.